What's up, everyone? Welcome back to this channel. I'm Elrona D'Souza, your HR partner in the UAE. Today's topic is about costs and how much should you budget for these three must-have documents that you need to issue to every new employee in your business in the UAE. But before we get into the numbers, let's just see if you have subscribed to this channel or not, and I'll give you a minute to do just that. Okay, so now that you've subscribed, let's talk about numbers associated with employing people that is based on these three must-have documents. Now, as I said in another video, you can check out in the show notes, the link is there. You need to issue three must-have documents, which is your visa, your work permit, and your Emirates ID. The cost associated with this is broken down into issuance of these three documents. And it all starts with requesting for an approval. But in order to get that approval, there's one more step before that, which is a precursor. And that is you being set up as an employer in the jurisdiction that you have a trade license. Which means, are you an employer in mainland or are you an employer in free zone? Accordingly, you have to be set up to be able to employ people. So let's talk about mainland first. If you have a license in the mainland, then you need to be registered with two authorities. One is immigration and the other is Mohre or the Labor Department. These two will give you access to the ability of hiring a certain number of people in your business. And that is where we talk about quotas, that they will assign a quota to your business that you can hire X number of employees in the near future. And that is important before you're able to get approval for one employee as well. So now that you've done the setup in the mainland, for those companies that are based in the free zone, the setup is slightly different. As you are set up with the free zone, you need to be set up with immigration and you need to get an establishment card. This can only happen after you've been issued the trade license. So once you have the establishment card in the free zone companies and the labor file and the establishment card for mainland companies, you are now ready to start employing people. And this process starts from an approval and ends with issuance of those three must-have documents. Okay, now let's talk about the process of issuance, right? At the approval, you have to pay the costs associated with all three documents. It is basically a lump sum charge that covers all different steps that are associated with these three documents. The approval that you get initially is combined approval for sponsoring and employing the person. The government has worked very hard to try and make this process as seamless as possible, so they take some of the load and work hand in hand behind the scenes to help companies employ people in the most efficient and effective way possible. So once you get the approval, a whole lot of in-country processes have to take place in order for these approvals to be issued into documents. And this is in-country visa, medical, and biometrics for Emirates ID. Once these three steps are covered, you're going to end up with a visa residence permit, which is electronically issued, a work permit, which is issued by Mohre, and an Emirates ID. And this is specifically for all mainland associated companies. And the costs differ based on these three documents. The bulk of it goes towards issuing a work permit, but there's also cost associated with visas and Emirates ID. If you're a free zone company, then the price list differs based on which free zone you're associated with. And they publish their costs and their fees regularly, so you're able to access that on their portals and their websites. Okay, so now that I've talked to you through the process and some of the steps involved, what is the cost? The cost actually is a range. It's not a fixed cost. It differs based on where you are in terms of your establishment. Going back to mainland companies, there are three tiers that you are classified as an employer by the Labor Department, and the price differs based on which tier you are associated with. And it can differ from your first employee to your 10th employee. And for free zone, the rates differ based on what's published on the website. And another little caveat in terms of pricing is whether the person that you're employing is already in country or is being hired from overseas. There's a price variation between these two statuses of that candidate. Right. So I've given you the different permutations and combinations. At best, what I would suggest when you're budgeting for hiring employees, think about budgeting somewhere in the range of 4,500 to 8,000 dirhams to be able to employ. So that would be the costs associated with your visas as this time of the video that we are shooting, right? But we will write in the show notes the average cost based on mainland versus free zones. I hope this information was useful. I hope to see some comments, and further answers will be provided in the comments below. Keep watching our channel. Please don't forget to hit the notification and share this with somebody that might need or is looking to set up their business in the UAE.